Hello, everyone. This is the Cyber Pro Podcast. I'm Rick. I'm the host, and I'm excited for today's guest. I've been hounding him for years to get on the podcast. We met at a wonderful DEFCON many years ago now. But Chris, the man of steel, Hippensteel, you're finally on. So tell us who you are and why you're awesome.
So I'm Chris Hippensteel. I'm the director of IT at New Resources Consulting. I don't know why I'm awesome. I'm probably a pretty easily recognizable person. When I'm out at conferences, I have my whole entire body and head tattooed. So I guess that's pretty cool. And, I don't know, a little bit different than your average, IT guy.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So let's kick it off right away. What recent evolutions have you seen in the cyber and IT space that you're just super excited about?
So this is kind of a weird one. So I would say it's like I'm excited, nervous, all at the same time. Like I think it's overplayed, but also like totally relevant. And everybody's talking about it. It's AI and machine learning. You know, AI has been around for a long time. But it's really starting to get its name out there. And it's a technology that cyber criminals and IT professionals are using all at the same time. It's, we're battling each other to try to figure out, who's going to be better at basically using this machine learning to either attack or protect. And it's fascinating, it's scary, and at the same time, I'm almost tired of hearing about it because almost everybody wants to talk about it all the time. And some people don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to it, which is wild. They just throw the word AI out there on a piece of paper and their product isn't even doing anything close to it. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing and recent evolution that is on my mind for at least like the last year and a half.
No, I agree. I actually recently just ran a test internal to our company that was mind blowing, but I took generative AI and I said, create an email that will get somebody to click on something. And then I said, every time somebody doesn't click on it or it gets reported, I want you to create a different email. It's something that's going to get past them. It only took about 7 attempts by the generative AI to knock out an email that somebody clicked on. And we have pretty aggressive awareness training. So it was great for me to watch. But what other ways are you seeing kind of that AI machine learning kind of reinvent itself in today's cybersecurity?
I mean, using like different platforms like Rapid7, we recently implemented that and, using its tools with AI to go through and basically scan your environment and report back things. And then with that report, how to fix it, that kind of stuff is just wild when you look at that. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, the bad side of it is, cyber criminals using this to basically, I use Copilot now to help me write better, nicer emails to my staff. And it comes through and it reads exactly how I write. And then, if a cyber criminal gets a hold of that, they can basically write an email that sounds exactly like the CEO of a company. And, people aren't always, asking for gift cards and whatnot. And with that, with AI, it's almost like people always think when you're going to get hacked that, it's some kind of virus or something that's coming in. And really, if you look at it, I would say over 50% of it's social engineering.
Yeah, I've seen some stats that are even higher than that, but that's a good segue, right? So what do you think is a critical aspect of a robust cybersecurity strategy for most organizations?
I mean, basically implementing just some kind of like super comprehensive like risk management framework. You gotta have the tools to identify the risks that you have. And if you're going to go and say that you don't, you do 100%. There's no one's ever completely safe. You got to be continuously monitoring and improving this stuff. That's why, like I said, not to be selling Rapid7 or anything here, that's really changed the environment here. A lot of that stuff I was doing all manually, find some kind of tool that is able to link with all of your other, cybersecurity tools, whether it be endpoint protection, email security, your VPN. So you can get all those logs in one place. Unless you have a massive IT security team, and most companies don't, using these tools to make sure that something is constantly always looking, scanning, reading, So making sure that you have that robust cybersecurity in there. Employee training, number one thing. You could put a billion tools in front, but if you're not training your employees and your staff, they're the number one target. It's not my firewall. It's not my router switches, whatever it may be. It's the employees. They're trying to target the employees to get information to easily access data. No one wants to sit there and run script to try to get your password all day long. They want to go ahead and ask an employee and pretend that they're IT and be like, I need your password, and then you just give it to them and they're in. And then at the end of it, making sure you have an incident response plan is like the amount of people that I talk to that say they have it, and then I ask them to go over that plan and they're like, it's documented. If you're an IT professional and you don't know what that plan is, like off the top of your head, you haven't looked at it recently, you're not testing it, which is a huge thing. A lot of companies aren't out there testing it. I mean, look at what, thankfully CrowdStrike wasn't a cybersecurity incident, but every person that was affected by that should have used that as a cybersecurity incident. Don't let an incident go to waste. It's usually what I always say, because, that really allowed people to look at their incident response plan. What's your DR plan? How does that look? How do you get things back? Luckily, it was an update and it wasn't some kind of ransomware where you're trying to get that, but a lot of people didn't have that incident response plan, or they weren't testing it and they didn't know it right away. And then you got to make sure you got a backup. There's a lot of people in IT I see like to gatekeep their information. And to me, that just blows my mind, because we're all here to do the same thing. We're all here to keep the world safe from these people that are trying to steal our data. So why not share that information with somebody? I'm not asking, to share your passwords or your secrets or anything like that. But, if you've had something happen, or if you see something's happening, or you have a fix to something, share that with somebody. There's someone out there, I love using places like Experts Exchange to go out there, and I go and I try to read, what other people are doing, whether it be, cybersecurity, networking, hardware related issues. And if I have a solution or an answer, I try to provide it, and I go out there and ask for it too. Because again, not everybody can know everything about IT.
I think that's great. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I hear from the market is cybersecurity is secret, right? It's about secrecy. And I mean, you and I know you could run a port scan and find out, their firewall types and all these other things. Like we get it, right? And so I try to remind people, it doesn't have to be secret. The bad actors know what you have. The less secretive you are with your peers, the harder it's going to be for those folks to actually attack. What is another misconception that you're hearing that you bump into from other cybersecurity leaders?
So I don't know if it would be so much from cybersecurity leaders as much as it would be from people who aren't in cybersecurity. I would say a lot, cybersecurity leaders, a lot of us are, kind of on the same page, but constantly, at least in my field, in my office and my friends' offices, at the bar, whatever we're doing, cybersecurity is solely IT's responsibility. It is, IT's responsibility to protect us. It's IT's responsibility to make sure this email doesn't come through. And it's not. It's everybody in your organization, whether it be the CEO or it be the intern that just started yesterday. Everybody needs to be aware. Cybersecurity, everybody looks at it as just someone trying to hack my email. And at the end of the day, it's not. You got to think, our cameras are hooked up to computers that are hooked up to Wi-Fi. Cybersecurity might be someone just taking down a camera to get into a bank and rob the bank. People aren't thinking that that's cybersecurity, and it is, accessing your badge. So, even the security, department, the actual security on site at some place needs to be cybersecurity aware, understand how that technology works, and understand, who's accessing what and how it's being accessed. So, the biggest misconception I would say in cybersecurity altogether is people saying that it's just IT's responsibility, because it's not. It's everybody's. Everyone needs to understand a little bit. You're using a computer somewhere. I can't think of a single job off the top of my head that you're not. Even even the person at, Starbucks getting, checking out my coffee, they're using a computer. They should be able to understand at least a little bit, of what's going on, what tools they're using, and how to make sure that nothing happens.
Love it. So final question, fun question. I'm excited for this answer. I'm curious to see where you go, but what's your favorite piece of retro technology that makes you smile?
Retro technology. I actually kind of still use this, but I would consider it retro. Vacuum tubes. I'm a musician. I'm a musician. And I play bass guitar, and I love using tube amps that use vacuum tubes, and they've been around forever. They're just kind of a wild thing when you think about it. And they produce a completely different sound than, if you're using just like a standard amplifier. But yeah, vacuum tubes. Or I think another one would be, I don't know if I guess you would consider this technology, like carburetors. I got motorcycle pictures. I love carbureted bikes and like how that all functions to have your engine run and the throttle and everything like that. Especially like old ones, like if you're looking at like a Harley Davidson knucklehead with like a Linkherd carb on it, it's just all cast metal stuff. And I don't know, to me, I think that is still technology. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, someone's going to say, floppy disk or something like that. But yeah, vacuum tubes and carburetors are wild technology to me that I absolutely love. I consider them retro, and I still use them almost every single day. And I think that's super cool that they're still around and still relevant.
Love it. Chris, thank you so much for being on the Cyber Pro podcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to get on this together for a long time, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. And I want to thank you for what you do with this, because you give us a platform to get out there in front of people and talk about what's important. I hope a lot of people listen to this, whether they are part of cybersecurity or not. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you for tuning into the Cyber Pro podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new podcasts and all of our cool bonus content.